Beloved soul, before anything else, take a breath with me. Feel the warmth of your guardian angel wrapping around you right now, like sunlight landing gently on your shoulders. You are seen. You are loved. You are protected. Welcome to the angel's message for you original channel. Please check the channel name carefully. This is our only official channel. Beware of copycat and fake channels. Stay connected to the original source to receive authentic angel messages and true blessings. Before we begin, a heartfelt thank you to Debbie for sowing a seed for Soulmate through your Ko-Fi super thanks. May this seed return to you multiplied with Soulmate blessings, divine protection, love, well-being, and abundance. May the angels guide and watch over you every step of your journey. Thank you for your beautiful support. Now, I need you to listen closely because what I am about to tell you is not something small, and it is not something you want to walk away from halfway through. If you leave in the next 2 minutes, you may miss the exact words your heart has been waiting to hear for a very long time. So stay with me, even if just for a few more minutes, because this message was placed on your path today for a reason. And by the end, you will understand why it found you at this exact moment and not one day earlier or later. Something is shifting for you. You have felt it, haven't you? That strange, quiet feeling in your chest. Like something is about to change even though nothing around you looks different yet. That feeling is not random. It is not your imagination playing tricks on you. It is a signal, a soft nudge from the universe letting you know that a beautiful reunion of hearts is drawing near, and someone who has loved you deeply, in ways you may not even fully realize yet, has finally made a decision they can no longer put off. For a long time, this person carried a feeling they could not fully explain. A pull toward you that never really faded no matter how much time or distance came between you. They tried to move forward. They tried to focus on other things. But no matter what they did, their heart kept circling back to the same place, back to you. And now that quiet pull has turned into something stronger. It has turned into a decision. This is not about fantasy or wishful thinking. This is about truth. A truth that has been growing quietly inside another heart until it became too big to keep hidden any longer. They have thought of you more than you know. They have felt the weight of not being close to you. And now every thought is turning into something real, a genuine wish to find their way back to you, wherever you are, however much time has passed. This is not a memory from yesterday. This is happening now in this season of your life. What this person feels for you did not fade with the years. If anything, it grew stronger the more they tried to ignore it. And now they have stopped ignoring it. They have made peace with what their heart has been telling them all along. And that peace is leading them straight toward you. What they feel is not confusion. It is certainty. A clear, steady wish to stand close to you again, to look into your eyes, and finally say the things that have been sitting quietly in their heart for far too long. This decision is already moving. Something meaningful is approaching your life, and it will not be small. It will be the kind of moment you remember clearly for years to come. While you have been living your days, doing your best to move forward, this person has been going through their own quiet struggle, trying to understand what to do with everything they feel. There were moments they tried to distance themselves from these feelings, but the heart does not let go so easily when the love is real. And after so much inner searching, this love has finally found its direction, and that direction is you. Peace has slowly returned to their heart, but along with that peace came a clear knowing that staying apart is no longer an option they are willing to accept. That is why they are preparing to close the distance between you, no matter where you are or how much time has gone by. They want you near. They want you present in their life again, in a real and lasting way. You may have noticed something shifting inside you too. Maybe your intuition has felt sharper lately. Maybe old memories have been surfacing without warning, or your heart has felt a little restless, like it is waiting for something important. None of that is by accident. Something beautiful is preparing to unfold, and your soul already senses it before your mind fully understands it. When this love arrives, it will not come from chance. It will come from a real decision, a real choice made with a full and open heart. This person can no longer hold back what they feel. What they carry now is bigger than simple longing. It is a genuine need to be close to you again, a love that no longer wants to just sit quietly in thought. It wants to be lived out loud in real life. You will feel it when it happens. You will realize that everything you sensed in these recent days, every strange flutter, every unexplained memory, was real all along. I want you to understand what is coming and why it matters so much. Because once this reunion happens, you will see the meaning behind every quiet hope you carried and every moment that gently led you here. The distance between you has hurt this person more than they let on. There has been a heaviness they carry, a sense that something important is missing from their days. Even small joys have felt a little empty lately. Even good days have felt incomplete. Living apart from you has become something they simply cannot keep accepting, even while they tried to stay busy and distracted. What used to be pushed aside and postponed is now asking to be faced. Their heart feels full, almost too full to hold quietly any longer. Missing you has turned from a passing feeling into something closer to a calling, and they are no longer able to look away from it. Pretending everything is fine has stopped working. The emptiness they feel points, again and again, back to the same place. Back to you. No matter what they try to fill their days with, everything eventually leads back to the same truth. That certainty has grown too strong to deny. Even with time passing, the feeling has not faded. If anything, it has become clearer and steadier. Living only on old memories is no longer enough for them. Now there is a real wish to see you, to be near you, to take an actual step forward instead of only thinking about it. Maybe you have felt something similar, a quiet restlessness, a longing to hear a certain voice again, a sense that something important is coming closer, even if you cannot name it clearly. That feeling is not a coincidence. It is a sign that hearts, even from a distance, remain connected in ways that go beyond what we can fully explain with logic alone. The wish to see you has quietly become a real decision. What was once just a passing hope has turned into something with weight and direction. This urgency does not come from fear or loneliness. It comes from a simple, honest truth that you matter deeply, and no other path feels complete until this love has the chance to be lived fully and openly. This person knows they cannot keep living with distance between you, and that realization has created a real shift inside them. To someone on the outside, it might seem like a lot of feeling over one connection. But only someone carrying love this deeply understands the quiet ache of being apart from the person who matters most. That is why everything inside them is now turning toward one clear direction, toward reaching you, speaking honestly, and finally living what has been held back for so long. They have tried other paths. They tried moving on, staying busy, focusing elsewhere. But it always circled back to the same place emotionally, because this connection was never something disposable. And what is not disposable does not simply disappear. It stays. It grows. It becomes something that eventually needs to be faced. Once a feeling like that reaches its limit, there is only one honest thing left to do, and that is to seek out the person who makes the heart feel this alive. Nothing else has been enough to satisfy that longing. No distraction has truly worked because deep down, the heart already knows what it wants, And once it knows, the mind slowly begins to follow. This person no longer wants to simply imagine what being close to you would feel like. They want to actually live it. They want to look into your eyes and know, without doubt, that they are exactly where they are meant to be. In these recent days, the distance has felt even heavier than before. What was once easier to manage has become harder to ignore. And when a feeling grows this strong, it eventually asks to be acted on. They understand now that this is not about reliving the past. It is about finally living something that is still whole, still alive, still real. What they feel for you is sincere, and that sincerity is now quietly asking for presence. It is no longer about wondering if you still feel the same way. It is about recognizing that staying still is simply not an option they are comfortable with anymore. This urgency has stirred old feelings back to the surface. Confusions that once clouded their heart are becoming clear. What was once avoided is now being faced with a quiet kind of courage, because whatever they feel for you was never truly lost. It was only waiting patiently for the right season to rise again, and that season has arrived. Something deep and meaningful has been happening inside this person's heart lately. Almost like an answer they had been waiting for finally became clear. There was a real moment of inner reflection and spiritual surrender, and from that quiet surrender came a certainty that the love felt for you needs to be lived rather than pushed aside for one more day. For several days, this person carried a quiet uncertainty, trying to make sense of feelings they had kept hidden for a long time. But once those feelings were finally acknowledged honestly, something calmed inside them. The confusion softened into peace, and that peace brought a clear direction to no longer leave this feeling for later. In that quiet moment of surrender, they felt a deep confirmation that this connection is real, and that you did not remain in their heart by accident. They now understand that what they feel for you is not illusion or simple attachment. It is far too steady and far too strong to be dismissed. Because of that, the wish to see you again has become something they can no longer set aside. This decision did not come from impulse. It came from something deeper, from quiet, honest reflection during the most vulnerable moments, when no one else was watching. They did not just wish to be near you. They wished for understanding, for courage, and for clarity about whether this connection was still meant to grow. And somewhere inside, the answer felt like a clear and steady yes. From that moment forward, everything began to make more sense. Old memories stopped feeling like simple nostalgia and started feeling like meaningful signs. Confusing emotions began to settle into a clear and honest longing for closeness. And with each quiet reflection, this person felt more resolved to follow through on what their heart had already decided. This was never about demanding anything from the universe. It was about asking for clear direction, and that direction kept pointing back to you. They asked, quietly and honestly, whether this connection was still alive on both sides, and slowly, gently, signs began to appear. You may have felt something shifting too without fully understanding why, and now you are beginning to see that none of this has been random. This surrender was not shallow or careless. It came with real emotion, with honesty, with an open and willing heart. And from that emotional honesty, a steady kind of courage began to grow. Not loud or dramatic, but quiet and sure. The kind of courage that comes from finally accepting what can no longer be denied. Now, every thought this person has is gently turning toward you, guided by a steady inner trust that does not waver easily. This connection brought clarity where there was once confusion, and now they feel guided by a clear sense of purpose, moving toward one outcome, being close to you again, not as a distant wish, but as something real and possible. Before we go deeper into today's message, If you feel guided by this energy, you can sow your seed for your soulmate's well-being and protection through the Ko-Fi link Super Thanks in the description or pinned comment. This is a simple way to support this divine mission and invite blessings for your soulmate journey, emotional healing, and overall well-being. Many believe that when you give with a pure heart, it returns as love, peace, happiness, and abundance in your life. What is unfolding now comes from a genuine, thoughtful place. Old doubts have been faced. Old wounds have been acknowledged. And even without knowing exactly how you might respond, this person has chosen to trust their heart and take the risk anyway, because what is coming now feels different. Comes with honesty. Comes with a heart that feels settled and clear. They understand that you may have also gone through your own quiet journey, trying to make sense of things on your own, trying to move forward in your own way. But what is being offered to you now comes from real reflection, not a passing impulse. It comes from a love that was fully considered and chosen with intention. This person has thought of you with real care, wondering how your days have been, what you might have been feeling quietly inside. Even from a distance, that emotional closeness never fully disappeared. There have been quiet moments, falling asleep with you on their mind and waking up with the same thoughts still lingering gently. This is not something forced or manufactured. Feels natural, steady, and real. And when a feeling reaches this point, it eventually asks to become something more than just thought. It asks for presence, for closeness, for real connection instead of only quiet reflection from far away. You may have wondered lately why certain memories keep returning, why a name or a feeling keeps surfacing when you least expect it. That is not a coincidence either. It is often a gentle reflection of thoughts and feelings moving toward you from someone whose heart has been quietly circling back to yours. When someone spends this much quiet time thinking of another person, it usually means something meaningful has not faded, even with time. In this case, what remains is a real wish for closeness, a hope that what once felt possible can still be lived out in an honest, grounded way. This feeling has not stayed still. It has been slowly moving inside this person, becoming the quiet fuel behind a real, intentional step forward. They know that simply thinking about you will not change anything on its own. But those thoughts have become the steady push moving them from quiet reflection into real action. This person has come to understand that it is no longer enough to simply wait for perfect conditions or the ideal moment. What exists between you does not need everything to be flawless. It needs honest effort and real intention, and that is exactly what they are now preparing to offer. This is not something being handled carelessly. They do not want to surprise you or confuse you without meaning behind it. Everything being considered inside their heart has one clear direction: to reach you with respect, with steady courage, and with a kind of devotion you will likely recognize the moment you feel it. Even if life has physically kept you apart for a while, the feeling itself never really drifted away. And now, with a settled and open heart, this person feels ready to close whatever distance remains between you. It does not matter how far apart you have been or how complicated your paths may have looked. What they feel for you is stronger than those outer circumstances. They have thought of you often enough that continuing to wait no longer feels like the right choice. Every attempt to distract themselves eventually gives way to the same steady feeling returning. What is at stake now is not simply longing. It is a real choice, a decision to be present in your life again, wherever that may lead. They are no longer willing to let pride or old fears stand in the way. What once felt impossible now feels necessary, because this is not only about missing you. It is about their own inner peace and a heart that only feels settled and whole when it is connected to yours. In these recent days, everything seems to be pointing toward this moment. quiet reflections have returned with more intensity. Old memories have resurfaced gently but persistently, and this mix of care, honesty, and desire for closeness has created a steady kind of courage that was missing before. This person understands that time keeps moving whether we act or not, and that understanding is part of what is drawing them toward you now, toward taking a step that could genuinely shift the direction of both your lives. The path may have included pauses, quiet silences, and moments of doubt, but everything now seems to be shifting toward clarity and forward motion. They have come to realize that you remain part of what makes life feel meaningful to them. And even without knowing exactly how you will respond, they have chosen to take that gentle risk anyway, because there no longer feels like room for doubt when a feeling speaks this clearly and steadily. You may not fully realize how carefully this decision has been considered. It has not been made lightly. It has been shaped with real thought, real maturity, and quiet faith. Faith that you still feel something meaningful too, faith that reconnecting will feel worthwhile, and faith that this kind of love can still be lived out in an honest, respectful way. This is not coming from impulse, but from a real recognition that you hold a kind of significance in their life that has not been easy to replace. And once a heart reaches that kind of clarity, it becomes very hard to stay still. Reaching out to you becomes less of an option and more of a natural next step. This is why you may have been feeling this quiet energy approaching more strongly lately. It is not simply imagination. It reflects a real connection, the kind that even distance and time have not been able to fully erase. And now, with a sense of gentle readiness, that connection is preparing to be expressed through real action rather than only quiet thought. Time has not been easy for this person either. Each day apart has left its own quiet mark on their heart, in ways that are difficult to fully put into words. They try to keep up with daily life and appear steady on the outside, but the distance between you has come at a real emotional cost. Familiar routines feel a little heavier. Thoughts circle back again and again to the same place. There is an unsettled feeling that something has been delayed longer than it should have been. And the longer that feeling lingers, the more it asks to be addressed honestly rather than avoided. This longing is no longer something occasional. It has quietly woven itself into small daily moments, familiar memories, and quiet pauses throughout the day. This person can no longer fully convince themselves that everything is completely fine. Even if things look calm on the surface, there is an unmistakable quiet unrest underneath. Every day that passes without closeness adds a little more emotional weight, and the thought of continuing without you nearby brings genuine discomfort and quiet sadness. This distance has, in some ways, hurt more deeply than physical distance alone usually would. When a feeling is this real, time starts to feel like it is gently but firmly asking for a decision. This person often thinks of you as their day begins and as it ends, and what once felt manageable has slowly turned into something they no longer want to keep postponing. They feel that continuing to delay something this meaningful no longer makes sense. This is not simply longing anymore. It has become a kind of quiet emptiness, a clear sense that something important is missing. Even when they try to fill their time with other things, nothing quite fills the space that feels reserved specifically for you. This has made them more emotionally aware, more attuned to their own inner world. Small everyday things, certain places, songs, or familiar scents tend to bring you gently back to mind. But simply remembering is no longer enough. There is now a real wish to see you, hear you, and feel your presence close by again. These recent days have felt especially difficult for them. They have tried to stay composed, tried to appear unaffected, but their heart continues to gently insist otherwise. Nothing seems to fully distract from this pull toward you, as though something inside keeps quietly encouraging real action instead of continued waiting. This is exactly why the decision to reach toward you again has started to feel less optional and more necessary. This has little to do with loneliness. It has everything to do with a feeling that remains steady despite time and distance. Their heart may feel heavy, but it also feels quietly certain that something meaningful needs to be done about this connection. They no longer wish to overlook what they feel. This longing has shifted into something with a bit more urgency, and that shift has become a source of quiet strength, gently pushing them toward you, because your presence brings a kind of calm that little else seems to offer. That is part of why each day apart has started to feel harder to simply accept. Dear soul, before we continue, I'd like to invite you to do something truly meaningful for your soulmate journey. The bond between soulmates is precious, and at times, it can feel vulnerable to negativity, envy, or the evil eye from the world around us, even when no harm is intended. If your heart is calling you to cover this connection with an extra layer of love, faith, and protection, you can sow your seed for your soulmate through Ko-Fi Super Thanks. You'll find the Ko-Fi link in the video description and the pinned comment. This simple act can become a heartfelt expression of your intention, inviting the angels to watch over your soulmate connection, surround it with divine light, and guide it as it continues to grow in the right time and in the right way. If you feel led to do so, thank you from the bottom of my heart. May your kindness return to you multiplied, and may your soulmate journey be filled with peace, hope, and divine guidance. When love is genuine, there eventually comes a point where it becomes difficult to keep it fully contained. Time gently presses forward. Memories carry their own quiet weight, and the heart, in its own way, begins to ask for real action. This is where this person finds themselves now, wanting to end the waiting, close the distance, and finally live this connection in an honest, grounded way. This has not happened overnight. It has been building slowly and quietly for some time, but the feeling has become too clear now to keep setting aside. This person feels ready to reach toward you, to close the emotional distance, and to turn quiet longing into real, lived closeness, because every day apart has started to feel meaningful in a different way than before. You may have felt something similar without fully understanding why. A quiet ache without a clear cause. A gentle pull to hear a familiar voice again. A wish to be close without needing a specific reason. These feelings are often signs, quiet indications that something is shifting, that someone is moving closer, and that a season of waiting may be gently coming to an end. Even if your paths have taken different directions over time, this connection has remained steady beneath the surface. This person continues to carry you within their thoughts in a way that feels honest and real. And now they recognize they can no longer simply pretend that everything feels complete, because something important still feels like it is missing. And that something is you. Now, dear friend, I want to gently turn this message toward you, because this reunion is not only about what someone else is preparing to do. It is also about how open your own heart feels to receiving it. So often, without even realizing it, people quietly protect themselves from the very things they hope for, out of old fears, old doubts, or wounds that have not fully healed. And that protective instinct, while understandable, can sometimes turn something that could unfold gently into something that feels confusing or complicated instead. This is why this moment of preparation is not only happening on one side. You are also being gently invited to open up, to allow whatever is coming to be received honestly and without unnecessary resistance. You do not need to force anything or chase after answers. What this moment quietly asks of you is simple inner openness. Pay attention to your own thoughts, your own energy, and notice gently if you have been holding on to doubt, mistrust, or negativity, even in quiet, private moments. That energy, even when unspoken, can create distance without you fully realizing it. If this connection is real, and it is moving toward you, your own openness matters too. If your heart stays closed or guarded, that closed energy can be felt, even from far away, because real emotional connection often moves beyond simple logic. What you feel, what you think, and what you quietly carry inside all shape whether this moment unfolds with ease or with unnecessary friction. You have likely already sensed that something feels different lately, that something meaningful is approaching. Please do not brush that feeling aside. Your intuition is rarely wrong when something real is unfolding. Now is a good time to gently release old fears and old excuses, because what may be approaching is a genuine chance to live out a connection that has quietly mattered to both of you. To help this unfold naturally, start paying closer attention to small signs around you. They rarely show up as big, obvious events. More often, they appear through feelings, small coincidences, names that unexpectedly come to mind, dreams that repeat, or emotions that rise without a clear reason. When these signs appear, try not to dismiss them. Simply acknowledge them gently, feel them fully, and quietly remind yourself, I am open, I am ready. It also helps to be mindful of negative or doubtful thoughts about yourself during this time. Whatever is approaching you is coming for a genuine reason. There is real feeling behind it, real honesty and real desire, and you are absolutely worthy of experiencing that. Please do not question your own value or assume you are only being sought out of convenience or loneliness. If something real is moving toward you, it is because there is something meaningful and lasting between you both, something that clearly has not faded with time. If there is still some inner healing you have been quietly carrying, this can be a good moment to gently attend to it. Try not to let old pain define how you experience the present moment. This closeness is not about repeating past patterns. It is about releasing emotions that may have been quietly held onto for too long, and making space for something that still feels honest and true. To do that, try looking inward with gentleness rather than judgment, and allow yourself to feel things with a bit more lightness. You do not need to force a meeting, send a message out of urgency, or search anxiously for signs everywhere you look. What matters most is simply keeping your heart open and allowing the natural energy between you two to move freely, without unnecessary resistance. When two hearts are genuinely aligned around the same feeling, a meaningful reunion tends to happen naturally, and when it does, things often settle into place with surprising ease. This person appears ready to close whatever distance remains, and they have come to understand that this decision no longer feels like something to postpone. But for this to unfold smoothly, it also helps if you remain emotionally available and open, rather than building walls around feelings your heart may already recognize as true. Try to embrace this openness rather than resist it. Every thought you hold onto carries a certain kind of energy, and so does every intention you quietly send out into the world. If this feeling still lives in you too, it can help to gently affirm that, whether in quiet reflection, private thought, or simple daily intention. This is less about anything mystical, and more about staying aligned with your own honest feelings and allowing that alignment to guide you. Take a quick second before we move forward. Many channels are reposting and copying our content, but authentic energy cannot be duplicated. For the strongest positive connection and divine guidance, always listen from the original Angel's Message for You channel with the black logo base. Now, let's continue with the message your angels want you to hear. This attitude of gentle openness, even if it feels subtle, can help far more than you might expect. It is a bit like quietly telling the universe, I am ready to experience this. I recognize this connection, and I welcome this closeness back into my life. When you hold that intention honestly, things around you often naturally begin to shift to support that outcome. Dear friend, what may be approaching could be a moment that touches your life in a way you remember clearly, even on ordinary days long afterward. This closeness on its way carries real emotional weight, honesty, and a genuine intention to finally express, in both words and actions, everything that has been quietly held inside for far too long. This person appears to be approaching with a heart that is ready to show you that the feeling was never truly lost. And when they eventually stand in front of you, something inside you will likely recognize that truth, not necessarily because of anything said before, but because of what becomes clear through their eyes, their tone, and their genuine wish to be close to you again. This kind of encounter tends to bring clarity rather than confusion, and steady reassurance rather than lingering doubt. For a long time, this feeling may have been carried quietly, held with a hope that someday it could be lived out with real maturity and honesty. That time now appears to be arriving. What is approaching will likely not be limited to nice words alone. It seems to come with real actions that reflect true intention, and when that happens, it often becomes clear that the quiet waiting was not without meaning. This person is not approaching simply out of longing. They appear to be moving forward because they feel they can no longer set this feeling aside, because what they carry feels too significant to keep quiet, and because even with time passing, the feeling itself has remained steady. When that kind of steadiness exists, it usually reflects something meaningful that deserves real attention, respect, and honesty. This kind of reunion often brings a sense of healing along with it. It can bring a bit more peace to places inside you that have felt unsettled. It can quiet some of the insecurities you may have carried privately. And it can serve as a gentle reminder that real connection does not simply disappear with time. It tends to endure, and when it finds the right moment to resurface, it often shifts things in a meaningful way. When this person eventually stands before you, you may sense that very little of this feels random. Every small detail, every returning memory, every emotion that has resurfaced recently may start to make more sense, because all of it was quietly preparing you both for this moment, gently aligning your hearts with what was coming, in its own time rather than in haste. There is no need to feel afraid of this moment. It does not come to disrupt your life. It comes to offer clarity, to affirm that what you have lived and felt was not without meaning, and to open space for something new, even if that new chapter has actually existed quietly within both of you for quite some time already. What is approaching carries real purpose, and that purpose is simply the truth that still exists between you. When this person does come closer, try to be present, not only physically but emotionally as well. Try not to stay caught up in thoughts of what should have happened earlier. Instead, focus gently on the present moment, because it is the present that truly holds the power to shift things forward. This kind of encounter usually does not come with grand or exaggerated promises. It tends to arrive with sincerity, maturity, and the quiet courage of someone who no longer wishes to avoid what they genuinely feel. You may come to realize that this connection has not returned by mere chance, that your place in this person's heart was carefully protected over time, and that even with everything that has happened, the feeling has not lost its strength. When you eventually look into each other's eyes, you may find that very few words are actually needed. Genuine connection often communicates clearly, even in quiet moments of silence. This moment can serve as a gentle reminder of what truly matters most to you. It can help you see, once again, that real connection rarely disappears completely. It tends to wait patiently, grow quietly stronger over time, and mature in its own way until it finds the right moment to arrive, simply but meaningfully, in a way that is hard to overlook. That is what may be unfolding for you now, a meaningful emotional turning point that could shape your story in a lasting way. Your days may feel a little different after this closeness, because now you will understand that you were sought out with real intention and honest devotion. And that understanding can bring a kind of quiet peace to your soul that may feel unfamiliar, but deeply welcome. When something real and honest approaches, it usually does not create confusion. It tends to bring peace, lightness, and a renewed sense of meaning. What may be unfolding now could help you believe again, remind you that you deserve to experience something genuine, and offer you the chance to live out a connection that was quietly protected, even through uncertain times. Even when everything once felt uncertain, it seems a decision has already been made. And now this reunion may arrive as a genuine answer to everything you have quietly felt and hoped for. When that moment comes, try not to get caught up in overthinking every detail. Simply allow yourself to feel it fully, because this person appears ready to show up with real honesty, with a genuine wish to demonstrate that what exists between you did not stay buried in the past. It feels alive, present, and ready to be experienced in an honest, grounded way. And please remember, your guardian angel is always near you, gently guiding you, quietly protecting you, and walking beside you through each season of your life. Whether things feel uncertain or clear, you are never truly alone, even in your quietest moments. There is always a steady presence watching over you with care and unconditional love. Thank you, truly, for being here today and for allowing your heart to remain open to this message. You are an important part of this journey of light, hope, and gentle guidance, and your presence here matters more than you may realize. May you continue to feel calm, courage, and clarity as you move through whatever comes next. May peace and gentle blessings stay close to you today and always, with endless love surrounding you. Dear beautiful soul, this angel's message for you channel is a sacred spiritual home, created for faith, healing, and divine guidance. A place where hearts awaken and lives are gently transformed through divine messages. We warmly invite you to subscribe and stay connected, because the divine is always preparing something greater for your journey, something you are meant to receive in divine timing. If you feel moved to support this mission, you can sow your seed here for your soulmate blessings and divine love fulfillment. Your contribution is not just support. It is an energetic agreement with love, healing, and divine alignment in your own life. When you give with intention, it opens doors. Love flows more freely, happiness expands, and abundance multiplies in unexpected ways. Many believe that giving in faith activates a return of peace, joy, and emotional fulfillment in relationships and life. Whether it is $11, $22, $33, or $55, your generosity helps us continue spreading these divine messages of hope, healing, and soulmate guidance across the world. Every seed sown into this mission helps hearts heal, faith return, and souls reconnect with love. This is more than a channel. It is a movement of light, unity, and divine timing. Your support allows this sacred work to grow, touching lives that are searching for answers, comfort, and spiritual direction. We are all connected in this journey, and together we rise as one community under divine love. Let us open our hearts to the abundance that is already on its way. Amen.